With Avengers Doomsday looming on the horizon, the Marvel Cinematic Universe hype train has one last stop to farm as much audience goodwill as it can get. So it is a good thing then that the stop in question just so happens to be the latest Spider-Man movie. After all, Spider-Man is arguably the most popular superhero within his vast pantheon of superheroes, but with 3 movies already in the can, it is only fair to wonder if the web slinger still has enough tricks up his sleeve to farm said goodwill. Or is Spider-Man Brand New Day merely another random stop in a long, aimless journey? The movie takes place 4 years after the events of No Way Home. In that time, Peter Parker has continued to serve New York City as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, even though his inhabitants have no memory of the man behind the mask, specifically his best friends, Ned and MJ. But his world gets upended once again when an unknown mutant with the ability to manipulate others threatens to harm the people dearest to him. Now he must work with the Department of Damage Control, all while struggling with mutations of his own to neutralize the threat before it is too late. If you are someone who frequents the nerdier corners of this bustling digital metropolis we call the internet, or a member of the comic book movie fandom specifically, then chances are you already know the mutants alluded to in that synopsis. But in the off chance that you don't, rest assured that I won't be spoiling who it is, even though I found the secrecy behind the character leading up to the film's release a bit ridiculous and ultimately pointless. It was like the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield fiasco from No Way Home all over again, except this specific character's reveal within the movie was nowhere near as impactful. As for the movie itself, Spider-Man Brand New Day has a lot working in its favor. Right off the jump, we are treated to some of the sweeping kinetic swinging sequences that have come to define the larger Spider-Man film franchise. And those sequences have never looked as good as they do here, with near seamless transitions between VFX body doubles and the live action actors. There were 1 or 2 shots with obvious green screen effects, but by and large, the film looks great, and I implore you to try and see it on the best screen available. The same praise extends to the action sequences in general. Each one was solidly crafted and appropriately cinematic. I especially loved the fights with the hand, as they showcase some of the best martial arts seen in the MCU since Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which makes sense considering both movies were directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Another clear highlight was the fight with the Hulk, even though it was relatively brief and it left me wanting more. Still on the topic of visuals, I really enjoyed the body hopping effect used to depict the powers of the mutants, whose name I will not mention. There was this sense of momentum behind it, and I know a lot of that was performance driven, but the cinematography and editing also go the extra mile to really help sell the effects. Speaking of performance, we already know what to expect from our main trio of Peter, Ned and MJ. The question is, how did the new additions fare, particularly John Bernthal as Frank Castle and Sadie Sink as She Who Must Not Be Named. The latter was basically Max 2.0, and I was admittedly disappointed by our portrayal of this particular iteration of the character, but it was the former that irked me the most, as they effectively turned the Punisher into a watered down version of what we got in the Netflix and Disney Plus shows. Think Nick Fury in the Marvels, though nowhere near as egregious.
Black girl magic!
I guess I should have known that from the trailers, but I honestly didn't anticipate how much of a joke the character would become, complete with signature MCU quips and all. And while we are still on the subject of things I didn't like, I also found issue with the pacing. The movie dragged in places, nearly slowing down to a crawl during what was supposed to be emotional beats that didn't quite land with me. Maybe I'm just becoming old and grouchy, but I found myself checking the time on my phone more than once, which is a pretty good indication that I was losing interest. Thankfully, there was more than enough of the good stuff to help offset the doldrums and make the movie ultimately worthwhile. Spider-Man Brand New Day is the closest thing to a Shang-Chi sequel we've gotten thus far. It shares much of that film's DNA, particularly the kick-ass martial arts and next-level choreography. Destin Daniel Cretton clearly has a flair for directing highly stylized action sequences, and a talented production and effects team to help bring those sequences to life. So even though his movie might not quite reach the heights of prior entries, or do much to build hype for Avengers Doomsday, it is still another solid outing for the webhead and fans of his nimble acrobatic antics. I'll give the film an 8 out of 10. What did you think of Spider-Man Brand New Day? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be dropping a review for Resident Evil sometime in the near future, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on if you don't want to miss that review as soon as it goes up. And until the next one, this is Michael, signing off.